Hey guys, Reassembling here, and this is Coralife BioCube Basics, week number 4, adding corals and the water change. Now it's been 29 days since the tank was first set up. Before I go into what I've added this week, I'd like to review last week. We did our cleaner crew in week 2. Week 3 we added our first easy care level corals. I'm really pleased. The cleaner crew's even done a better job over the last week. You can see the sand's really clean. The rock work is clean as can be. I had a problem area right here which is primarily resolved. And if you look in the last video, those 2 leather coral frags were covered up with cyanobacteria, and the cyanobacteria has actually vanished. And I'm not sure if that was due to the cleaner crew or the tank getting more established, but I did not treat the cyanobacteria and it's completely gone. So the tank's really clean as far as algae and cyanobacteria goes. Anytime you add new sand to a tank, there's micro fine particles that kind of cloud the water. I think if you look really closely, you can see there's some kind of like dust-like particles floating around. This week we're going to do a first water change, and that's going to help eliminate those. So the first thing you want to do is check your water parameters, which I've done over here. My nitrates in the middle tube there are 20, which indicates it's time for the first water change. We try to keep our nitrates from 0 to 20. The right tube showing me that my calcium was at 420 milligrams per liter, and my KH was 11 degrees of hardness, which is good. So my water parameters are really stable, doing really well. As far as the corals I added, the one that really stands out right there, that's a tank raised ORA neon green finger leather. That one's doing really nice. Those guys need high flow. I've got 3 scalemias in the tank. There's one there, and these are Australian scalemias. These are pretty pricey. I mean, these start at $200 and going up for there. I mean, most of them probably average $300 a piece. Like I said, this is my dream tank, and these are corals I've always wanted. 2 of the 3 are looking really good. This one looks a little stressed. I've added 3 brain corals. That's a Lobophilia, red and green Lobo. It's looking decent. I've got 2 moon brains up here, or Favia. That's actually a bicolor. You can see the right side's different from the left. That's 2 different colonies that's fused together. And that is a Christmas Favia, which I really like. So this is just temporary coral placement. I've got a nice little frag I picked up too. That's a Blastomusa frag, yellow in the center, which is unusual with the red. I'm not sure if it's going to stay in this tank or not, but I saw it and had to grab it. And this video is going to be kind of interesting because I don't like to edit videos, and I'm trying to, I tried to figure out how I can do the water change and everything on camera without, cutting in and out. And this camera's really bad, as you can see, about focusing. So, so week 4, you check your water parameters. We're going to do our first water change. We're going to continue to add corals. Last week we did level 1 and level 2 corals. This week I bumped up the level to level 3 care corals, which are all those brains I showed you. Those are the moderate care level corals. And then next week we get to add our first inverts, like shrimp and crabs and whatnot. And so the rest of this week is the Invert Game Plan. So I'm going to put this camera in the stand over here, and I'm going to attempt to do all of this on camera if possible. So we're going to start our water change. The first thing I need to do is unplug the pump. So I get the pump unplugged, and I've unplugged the power head for that circulation pump. Here's the circulation pump. There's no water flowing through the tank right now. The glass is already clean. I've been really fortunate this tank stayed nice and clean since I've only done RO water and Nutri-C water. If I had to clean the glass, I really like this. Is a Kent Pro Scraper stainless steel blade. It's only safe for glass, but this makes a quick work of any algae, whether it's coralline algae or green algae. Scrape the algae first, so that way when you're cleaning out the filter and siphoning the sand, the algae has a chance to sink to the bottom of the tank, or when you siphon your gravel you can easily remove it. So we've unplugged the pump. I'm going to remove, this is just a micro filter pad here for fine particles. I'm going to throw that away. I'm going to remove both sponges. Here's sponge number 1. Here's sponge number 2. I'm going to show you guys how to clean these out. And then here's my matrix filter media, which really the only reason I'm taking this out is just to rinse the bag. You don't really want to rinse the media. The media lasts forever. It's a bio media. But I want to rinse the bag out so to make sure I get maximum flow through the media. And then finally I'm going to remove my carbon. And I'm just going to throw this away and replace the carbon. Alright, so let's try this. Let's go to the kitchen and I'll show you guys how, and I know this is a little unorthodox, but let's see. I'll show you guys how I clean these things. So, I rinse one sponge at a time in tap water, and I take these and I just squeeze them out like a face cloth. So I kind of fold them in half and wring them out in tap water. Now a lot of people, say, oh, do this in tank water, you're going to kill the beneficial bacteria. There's so much bacteria in these sponges. I'm just using cold tap water that, and also with the live rock in the tank, we have 30 plus pounds of live rock in the tank. I'm not really concerned about killing my bacteria bed in these sponges. Over the last 10 years I've had a lot of nano reefs and I've always cleaned the sponges this way, never had any problems. So I wring the sponges out like so, and I keep doing it till the water runs clear when I'm squeezing it. So you can let it fill up like that, squeeze it, and I can see whether the water's coming out clean or not. So I guess you rinse, and that one's clean. I'd say you rinse them out probably 3 to 5 times each. And while I'm thinking about it, if you had a little micro filter pad on top of these, like I showed you when I pulled out like this thing, not only does it remove the fine particles, but it also kind of acts like a drip plate where it forces the water to go over the entire surface area of the sponge instead of just rolling on the very edge of the first sponge. So I think you get more efficient filtration if you have a little micro filter, like a piece of a poly filter, or just a little micro filter pad. Seems to distribute the water better across the sponge. Alright, so I'm going to call that one clean. And here's my matrix media bag. This is a Magnivore filter bag. And I'm just going to take the sprayer I know that's loud, but basically what I'm doing is I'm just physically removing, and I know you guys can't see, but I'm just physically removing the visible dirt on the bag. And I do kind of let as much of the tap water drip out as possible. And that's all I'm going to rinse. I'm going to toss, here's my matrix carbon chemical filtration. I'm just going to put a new one of those in there. I put a new one in every month. So to avoid dripping on the floor, I'm going to stick these things back in the bucket. And we're going to go back to my office where the BioCube is located. I hope I'm not making you guys dizzy here. Alright. Can you guys see? I know there's kind of like a halo from the light here. So the way that I like to reassemble the filter, I've got some in the drawer right here, I've got some pre-cut micro filter pads. I like to put the sponge in first to the furthest right. So this side, I stick my hand all the way down, and ease it over to the side here. There's a little ledge in there that I kind of like to tuck this under if possible, or just really squeeze it up underneath. Sponge number 2 right here. And then the matrix media is a little bit tricky. You kind of need to let it kind of, get through the whole bag. And I kind of put it in diagonally at first to get it past the ledge that's in here. And once you get it past the ledge, you can work it all the way down. So now it's on the bottom. The one thing I forgot to grab the matrix carbon package, just for saving time in the video. I'm not going to go hunt that down. If it was in here, I'd grab it. Anyway, I would rinse that matrix carbon pad or a carbon bag and put it right here in the farthest left compartment next to the filter. I'm going to go ahead and put this microfilter pad on top of the sponges. And see if I can give you guys an aerial view of kind of what this looks like right now. Let's see. So you can see the water spills over this weir onto this microfilter pad, which forces the water to flow across all of the surface area here instead of just right here. I've got my matrix media down there, and then I would put my matrix, so matrix biomedia is different from matrix carbon. I would rinse my matrix carbon bag in fresh cold tap water and then slide it right down here. There's a little slot in the bottom there, which you may not be able to see right now. Get you guys back in the camera holder here. Alright, so now we get the filter reassembled. In the meantime, if we had to scrape any algae, the algae would have flowed to the bottom of the tank. And now it's time to physically remove the water from the tank. So let me go grab my bucket real quick. Which I should have remembered to bring. So to make this easy, this is a NutriC jug. I like to take an empty NutriC jug, and this would be a good time to show you guys what I'm doing. Take you back out of the camera holder here. So there's the empty NutriC jug. I'm going to use that siphon right there to siphon the dirty water into this jug, and here's my brand new full 4.4 gallons of NutriC water. It's a natural ocean water. It's got a patented formula of coral nutrients in it. I really do think this makes a big difference in nano reefs. Seems to make the corals a lot more healthy and the tank's more stable. You can see I do have a towel down. I always put a towel on the floor. And we're going to go ahead and fill up this old NutriC jug right now. And the idea about changing 4.4 gallons is going to be roughly the volume of or 25% of the volume of the tank. And to start the siphon, you can either suck on the end of this tube and put it in here, or somebody like Smiley that doesn't like to do that, you can actually dip this tube in the tank like this and lift it up. And you can see it starts to flow. And you just have to put the tube or put the siphon back in the tank before the air gets to it. So now the water's flowing through. And I like to start on one edge, but just to see if you guys can see this, you got to pinch the hose. So I don't know if you guys can see, I'll do it way up here. So I pinch the hose like a garden hose, suck up some sand, and I control how much water's flowing out, or how much, so the sand doesn't get sucked out by moving my thumb here and squeezing this back and forth. Now one thing I should have done first, and I'm going to go ahead and do it right now, is you want to remove the corals in the sand before you start siphoning. So we're going to take some water out of the tank. I'm just going to leave the bucket up here, and I'm going to remove these corals that are in the sand so I can siphon around them. You know, I guess this isn't 100% necessary. You're going to get online and read, you know, some people say never siphon the sand, some people say do siphon the sand. I've been keeping nano reefs for 10 years, and I prefer to siphon the sand. I think you get a cleaner tank, better water parameters. You got to change the water anyway. So I change the water by siphoning the sand. And lastly, we got our neon green finger leather. I really like this guy. This guy's really cool. Which is an aquacultured coral, as I mentioned. Let me just make sure the camera angle's okay. Move it down a little bit so you guys see it a little better. So let me redo what I just did. Closer to this side of the tank. So I'm going to stick the siphon in, lift it, put it back in before the air gets to the tube, and it'll keep the siphon going. I'll start over here on this edge. And I squeeze the tube down a little bit further normally so it's comfortable, but I'll squeeze it up here so you guys can see better. And you can see I'm squeezing it so the sand stays in the tank, but I'm removing the dirt. And I am removing intentionally the super fine particles of sand. So you see like a white cloud going in to the siphon, but there's not any sand per se going down. I'm siphoning out the fine microparticles of sand, and I'm also siphoning out any detritus that's in the tank. And detritus is just you know, like dirt or waste from the animals in the tank. So let me do a spot over here. I'm sure you guys don't want to watch me do the whole tank. So you can see sucking up, and there's some gas, there's some air pockets down here. It could be hydrogen sulfide gas. So I'm just removing. You see I'm let the sand go about 3/4 way up the tube, then squeezing the tube off. And you can see all the microfine particles getting sucked out. And this is really going to help crystallize the water. It's going to really help reduce the amount of suspended solids in the water. We did this to Smiley's tank a few weeks ago, her 14-gallon BioCube. You guys might be familiar with her channel, Smiley Dakota. And very noticeable improvement in the water clarity after we siphon the sand for the first time. So I'm not going to siphon the whole tank on camera because you guys get the idea. So I'm going to continue to siphon the rest of this tank off camera. I've got the instructions posted below of each step to follow for the water change. After the water change is over, I'm going to add the corals back. I'm going to wait at least 60 minutes and test the water parameters again so I can see how much the water change changed the water parameters, typically improving the water parameters. You can continue to add level 1 to 3 corals this week, which would be bulletproof to moderate care level corals. And after this is all done, I would take the rest of this week and think about what inverts am I going to add next week. Next week we can do our first cleaner shrimp or fire shrimp per se. My favorite book for this is the Pocket Expert Guide by TFH Publications. It's called Marine Invertebrates. They've got a fish and reef fish version of this too. This is written by Ronald Schmick, and I've got the information below. This book typically retails for around $25. The Pocket Guide series to me is the most accurate book series as far as like fish compatibilities and ease of care. So you can use these as kind of catalogs to go shopping to kind of create your coral game plan, your fish game plan, and your invert game plan. They've got 3 books. This one's got corals and inverts in it. The reef fishes book has got reef safe fish, and then the marine fishes book has got all fish in it. So this is Reef Thews for Aquarium Outfitters, asking you to support your local fish store. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you all next week.